Some of you guys might have spotted me on the showroom floor and recognized me from Pied Piper. But actually, I'm not at all a Satanist, and I've been in games for a long time, most notably at Storm8, the mobile gaming giant with over 50 million monthly active users and 1 billion downloads. I recently broke off to create a company called ADVR. We just finished raising funding, and we're focusing on making money for people working in the virtual reality and augmented reality space. We're at a unique time right now. Every day we seem to see new advances where we announce great, novel virtual reality experiences and technologies that are taking us to the future. Artificial intelligence is slipping its way into our lives, from chatbots to self-driving cars to personal assistants. Everybody keeps talking about augmented reality and how it's about to be here. We have augmented reality imposters showing us the promise of what augmented reality may hold. These three technologies are colliding at an amazing pace, and combined, they're going to allow us to create 3D content in a way we've never seen before, which will in turn power virtual reality and augmented reality to grow even faster. We're facing a new interaction paradigm, and it's essential that we are able to create content for it rapidly and efficiently so that we can really bring our ideas to life. Currently, the 3D modeling process is a very long process. Most 3D art pieces are works of fiction, completely designed by 3D artists. To give you an idea, here are some small steps in the process. And this process is littered with different creation tools such as 3ds Max, Maya, Blender, ZBrush. The list goes on and on. All of these tools have steep learning curves. It's very time-consuming. Thankfully, there are sources out there for us to get our 3D models if we don't know how to make them or if we're under time constraints. The Unity Asset Store, TurboSquid, and several other providers fill this temporary gap, but it's not enough. To give you an example, the Unity Asset Store has been in existence for 6 years, and there's 15,000 models available. How can we power millions of apps in VR the same way they are in mobile if we don't have easily accessible content that we can personalize for our users? Now, I'm not saying that 3D modeling has lagged behind. We've improved on the processes, we've made it faster, we've streamlined it, much like assembly lines streamlined auto manufacturing in the past. But we need to get to the point where people aren't doing it themselves, where most of the work is done for you. Lately, a new class of assets have taken place in the past several years. These are 3D scanned objects recreated in virtual reality that can be easily used. Typically, 3D scanners have been clunky, bulky, expensive, error-prone, time-consuming, and still require human supervision. But not anymore. Now we have new hardware coming out right now to the mainstream population. We've got the Microsoft HoloLens, the Meta headset, Project Tango from Google, and Intel's RealSense. For some of you who may not know some of these devices, they are all augmented reality devices. They all share certain key traits. They're all portable. Most of them are headset, capable of being used hands-free anywhere you go. They have high-speed internet connections, so you're always connected to the internet and all the data that is there. And they all have depth-sensing cameras that allow you to not only visualize the world around you, but allow the software to see the 3D objects in the space around you. By ingesting this 3D data, this will allow us to model the world around us in a way we have never been able to before. The software we use will understand the locations around us and the objects around us and allow us to interact with them in our real space. As augmented reality headsets grow in the marketplace, we're going to see more and more of this data. It is important that we harness this, not on an individual device level, but on a large scale. To give you an elementary sense of what I might mean, Google Tango has a feature known as area learning. Area learning allows your device to localize itself in a space, identify where it is, and remember it. This allows you to place virtual objects in your 3D space and come back to them later. Another feature is your device can pull data about this location based off of GPS and the features it sees around it, and can take data from other devices that have been here. So you can enter a room, a house, a building, a hospital, anything, and have your immediate area mapped even if you've never been there before. This is very useful for a company that has products like Google Maps and Google Street View. It becomes very obvious and advantageous to be able to navigate your environment. But we can go further. To give you an example and kind of leading the direction I'm going, I wanted to talk about something we all know, Facebook and their facial recognition systems. Every day, 1.8 billion photos get uploaded to Facebook. Every day. These are processed, unsupervised by machines that ingest this data, process it, and are able to, with a very high degree of accuracy, identify faces in photos. The last figure Facebook released is that they were over 97% accurate with facial recognition. The caveat being that the faces had to be in the appropriate lighting conditions, in the appropriate orientations, and just right for 2D vision. And this isn't future science. This is what's happening today. And oddly enough, we can all do it. Google, for example, has released a platform known as TensorFlow. TensorFlow is a machine learning library that allows anybody here in the audience to go home and create machine learning artificial intelligence without knowing the underlying algorithms. Intel has, amongst other companies, contributed to a library known as open source computer vision. This is what allows Facebook's facial recognition system to work and allows computers to see in 2D space. So this is what powers Snapchat and its filters, and Pokemon Go and its Pokemons. And it's great, but it also highlights the deficiencies in these systems. Snapchat filters fail if lighting conditions are incorrect or if it can't adequately see your face. 2D vision requires you to extrapolate depth data, leading to Pokemons the size of a baseball diamond. This is not going to be the case with 3D data, and especially when we have a lot of it. Every digital media we have and that we've created grows exponentially on the internet. Like Facebook ingests 1.8 billion photos a day, right? YouTube, as of 2015, was receiving 300 hours of video a minute. Today, that means that if you were to go home and try to watch all of the videos uploaded to YouTube in the last hour, it would take you 1,000 days to do that. It's an incredible amount of data. And these augmented reality devices that we have will allow us to get this much data about the world around us, but 3D data, data that allows us to identify the objects. It's too much data for you or me to look through. It's too much data for any individual. But for machines, this is what it's designed for. Artificial intelligence is designed to work with data sets at this size. So we can do simple things, but very powerful things. For one, we can identify any object that has been cataloged by an augmented reality device before. Anything. At superhuman recognition rates. But that's basic. That'll be a superpower we all have in the next couple of years with augmented reality devices. It's simple. We need to take it further. Some of you may have seen the Google DeepMind AI paintings, where Google's AI painted artistic, somewhat psychedelic drawings of the world around us, inspired by worlds around us. Or AlphaGo, the artificial intelligence Go playing robot that beat Lee Sedol, the #2 Go player in the world, and in the process confused all the Go experts. What was AlphaGo doing? Why is it making these moves? Only to deliver a crushing defeat at the end. This is what AI promises. Let me explain how this would work for augmented reality data. Data captured from individual devices would be sent up to artificial intelligence in the cloud. This would process unsupervised petabytes of data that we gather every day. On a very specific level, you'd have one device that scans a room and identifies objects in it and sends this data unprocessed to the cloud. Artificial intelligence would then process this image, identify where one object ends and the other begin. Because this is 3D data, it would also see the movement of these objects, how they behave, how they interact, how we interact with them. And this would allow us to deliver any object we see in the real world in virtual reality. No longer will we have to craft these in the 3D editors we have today. Editor views like this will disappear from the face of the earth in the next few years. Instead, we'll have systems where people can create content using their voice and conjure up the base content they need that is created by AI and inspired by the world around us, but is unique in its creation. Using these base objects, people like you and I can modify them and add our artistic and creative vision to them in 3D space using virtual or augmented reality technologies, where we can interact in these tool sets with our hands and gestures that we know how to do very precisely. I'm not saying 3D modeling as a career or profession will disappear. Far from that. Just like master technicians still need to assemble Ferrari engines, and we need great painters to paint the Mona Lisas, we cannot compete with human creativity. But for everyday asset creation and vision from people who want to create great experiences, we can power that using AI. For this to happen, we must address some concerns. First and foremost, if one large company has access to all of this data and can create this artificial intelligence system, there is nothing stopping them from monopolizing the data they gather and monopolizing the output of it. Imagine a veritable robot farm of lawyers just filing copyright on assets created every day, and then holding those licenses, charging us the same price 3D assets cost today, even though it cost them nothing to create. This is unacceptable. The only solution is an open source, open access system. We need to all reap the benefits, especially if we're the ones contributing the 3D data to these platforms. It also raises significant privacy concerns. I'm sure it definitely raises a few eyebrows if any of us could walk into a room and immediately identify what store you bought your clothes from and how much it costs. Or walk into your office and immediately catalog everything that's on your desk. Or maybe even worse, identify the medication on your counter in a blink of an eye. If everybody has access to this, because the only way this works is through an open access system, then it doesn't matter. Our views of privacy fundamentally change based off the information that's provided to us. Google Street View doesn't bother anybody. I can go look at your house. It's okay. I can Google your face. I can look at your Hawaii vacation photos. And it's all right because we can all do it. It becomes a concern when only one class of people have access to this information. So an open source system solves both of these problems. The world is changing today. We're interacting with it differently, and we need this 3D content to be created in a fast, reliable method that anybody can do. If we want to empower the same growth in the VR and in the virtual reality and augmented reality space that we have, we need to have content creation methods that allow us to create content as fast as we create tweets. This is what we need for virtual reality to really become the world that we see around us, and for augmented reality to add realistic objects that are still unique and new that we deliver based off of our creativity, not off of our know-how. Again, my name is Arnaud Dazin, and thank you for giving me the time to share my vision.
Thank you.